Bockover! What's up? Woo! Hey everyone! Whoa! So, welcome to the Gong-a-thong. And this is my thong. We sort of ran into wardrobe malfunction, and this is what we could do. So I tried to bring it up a little in the back. So if we're ready, let me introduce our first speaker. Looks to be, oh crap, Erica Brescia. I'm sorry, you probably get that a lot. I'm very sorry. All right, well, you're going to be presenting Bitnomi. Nami? I'm really bad with phonetics, so take it away.
Wow. Wow. So hi, I'm Erica Brescia. I'm with the Bitnomi project, and I'm going to try and focus for 4 minutes and tell you guys a little bit about what we're up to. So our focus is on making it really easy for people to get started with open source, especially web-based applications. So we build a bunch of these really easy to install software stack installers, and they include everything that you need in order to get a particular application up and running. So we have things like Joomla and Drupal and DocuWiki and MediaWiki and a bunch of infrastructure stacks too. So if you want to try out something like Django or JRuby or Rails, you can go to our website and download these stacks, and they're for Linux, but also Windows and OS X and Solaris. And by the time you click finish, everything's configured and up and running. And the cool thing is that you can just install these things and then uninstall them. So if you just want to play around and you don't want to muck with anything that's already on your system, this will be totally self-contained. It's like sandboxed. And it's really handy for getting new users up and running with open source. So if you have a friend that wants to install a wiki or a blog or something like that, and you don't want to tell them how to go and install and manually configure Apache and PHP and MySQL and everything, you can just come to our, or tell them to come to our site, click through this installer. It captures their passwords and everything, and so they click finish, and their hello world page is there, and they can just start blogging or whatever. So check it out. It's bitnomi.org. Right now we have about 25 different stacks, but we're taking votes for other applications. So if you have a project that you want to see packaged, that you want to get to more people, you can put it up on bitnomi.org. And soon we're going to be releasing a bunch of different packaging tools under the GPL, so you can build your own packages and post them on your sites as well. And you can gong me now because I'm done.
Very, very nice stuff. All right, now we're going to go to Dan Kegel from presenting about Zoomastor. And I'm going to butcher everything, so just correct it when you get up here. Dan. All right. Give it up to Dan.
Thank you. Okay, so wouldn't it be nice if you could keep around snapshots of your file systems for, the last few hours, last few days, last few weeks, so that in case you or your users accidentally delete a file, you could just go and grab it? There are lots of solutions for doing this, but LVM isn't quite one of them, for the reason that LVM snapshots don't share space with each other. So if you have, say, 10 snapshots, and then you decide you're going to change a block somewhere on the file system, say you're going to modify a file in your home directory, that writes a block or two, and it has to write the same block for every snapshot that you have in the past because of the way copy on write works with LVM snapshots. And that's a problem. That isn't scaling very well. So there's a new device mapper target called dmSnap that solves this problem. So you can have as many snapshots as you like, up as long as they're all black. No, wait. You can have as many snapshots as you like up to a certain limit, and the write performance doesn't get worse as you add more snapshots. So this could become an important tool. Who knows? It could make it so that you get fewer calls from users about missing files. If you're interested, please come to zumastore.org, ZUMASTOR.org. We have documentation, VMware images, all sorts of stuff. We also have a loftier goal of adding in good remote replication so that between block devices, so that Linux can be used in places where NetApps are currently used, because it seems like the two main features that NetApps have that Linux doesn't have are exactly this kind of really good snapshotting and really good remote replication of file servers or file systems. Did I get a woo? I'm putting myself to sleep here. Anyway, so if you're interested in this stuff, come to zumas.org, try it out. We've been working the bugs out for the last year. It's now solid. We've been adding a few features, so it's got sort of the minimal set of features that you could use that you need to try out our stuff for snapshots and remote replication. And we're now working on performance, so it's a good time to start trying it out. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Dan. Wow, Dan's tall. I'm being told that I need to ask for more speakers, so if you have anything awesome to talk about, just come up and two more. If there are two people who have anything awesome to talk about, then sign up or something. See one of these guys. Next we have Andrew Fife with Untangle. So, Andrew? All right.
So I wanted to tell you guys about an interesting community event that we organized on March 1st, sort of what happened there and what our plans are for the future. And what we did was Untangle partnered with the Alameda County Computer Resource Center, which is an electronics recycler, to work on an Install Fest for Northern California schools. The Alameda County Computer Resource Center collected over 1,000 discarded, unwanted, older PCs. And then we organized 4 different locations throughout the Bay Area, one in Nevada, one in Berkeley, one in San Francisco, and one in San Mateo. And we drove 130 members of the local Linux user community to install Ubuntu 7.10 on those computers. So we refurbished those 1,000 computers, most of which didn't work, into 350 fully working Ubuntu 7.10 installs that actually were tested with a 72-hour burn-in and are now in the process of being donated to local schools. So we think that was a lot of fun. And we're actually working on bigger and better things for the future. We're in the process of finalizing plans with Linux World in order to do a massive install fest on the show floor at Linux World. And actually, the real goal is not to have it be focused on any one location. It's actually to have Linux World be the hub of a network of many different spokes, where we're going to make the ISO image available, the custom ISO image available online, as well as all the scripts that we used for the server in order for anyone in their own location to set up a miniature install fest for schools. And so if we did 350 computers in one day without a lot of fanfare or publicity, we're thinking what we can do, in 3 days at Linux World, and beyond, really the sky's the limit. So we definitely think thousands is realistic during that 1 week. And if we can get enough publicity, enough people interested, imagine what we can do on a distributed basis in 2009. So that's all I got.
Thanks, Andrew. All right. Next on our list, we have Quinn Weaver with Pearl Mongers.
All right.
You're Quinn? All right.
All right. How long do I have to do this? Is it limited to 5 minutes?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. So how many Perl users are there in the audience? Great. I'm going to talk about Object Inside Out. If you don't already know about it, it is the most awesome way to do object orientation in Perl. There are a million ways to do it. There's too many ways to do it. There's one right way to do it. This is it. It's basically a flyweight design, so I'm not going to go into implementation details, but it means that you can actually have encapsulation. Unfortunately, I can't show you code samples because we don't have a projector, but hang on. All right, I'm going to do this the other way. It allows you to basically declaratively declare all of the things that you would like to declare. Like, hey, I have an object. It has these attributes. They're of this type. My constructor will automatically check that they're passed if they're required, or they're permitted, so people can't just pass random stuff the way you would do if you were using hash-based objects and you could, like, reach into the hash and put crap in there. So the constructor checks for type, checks for required arguments, allowed arguments. You specify all of this stuff using attributes. So you put you declare all of your class attributes as arrays, and then you use the colon syntax to specify Perl attributes for them. And then the funky flyweight thing is that it uses a randomly generated number as an index into the array to get the properties for that particular class. If that didn't make sense to you, don't worry, it doesn't matter. The point is you can write, Java-like or C++-like classes in Perl where you just say, here are the fucking members. I don't want to have, a weird blessed hash juggling in order to do things. And also, I don't want to have to write my setter and getter methods, so just do that for me. That's an option. Write accessor and setter methods. By the way, it's also thread safe, so the setters will not screw each other up and cause race conditions if you have multiple threads, which is not true of Damian Conway's class standard, which is otherwise kind of similar, which is really a bummer. And it's a very useful module. It's made my life a lot easier. It's made me want to program in Perl again, and it's just made me stop tearing my hair out about the one thing that Perl doesn't automatically do really nicely, which is object orientation. Let me try to dig up my notes and see if there's anything else I wanted to tell you about it in the next 50 seconds. Oh, you can also set up regex filters if you want to get really sophisticated. So you can not only have type constraints, but you can constrain your attributes to match some regular expression, which is wonderfully Perlish. I just love that. Inheritance works. You can inherit from objects that are not object inside out objects. As I said, it's thread safe. It's got an introspection API, which I've never used. The only drawback I would really say is that any single attribute declaration has to be on a single line, which is a limitation of the Perl interpreter. When you use those colon attributes, they have to fit on one line. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Quinn. Steve C. From Open. OpenStreetMap. All right, Steve.
Thank you. How you doing? Can I ask you something? Yes. Why are you wearing socks?
My feet are cold.
Good answer.
You have no idea what's on these floors.
So, I want to talk about OpenStreetMap. Wouldn't it be really good if there was a worldwide editable even, wiki map of the world? Such a thing exists. It's called OpenStreetMap. You can go in, you can fix your street, you can, if there's a road missing, you can add it. If there's a road with the wrong name, you can fix it. You can add things that aren't in traditional maps, like footpaths, cycle paths, pubs, events that are going on, all that kind of stuff. We are running an event here in San Francisco, a so-called mapping party, where we lend you a GPS, you go out mapping whatever you like, then you come back and we show you how to use the toolchain, the website, and so on. And then we will go out for a beer. So you should check out openstreetmap.org, hit our help and wiki, hit events, hit San Francisco, or just click around, and that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
OpenStreetMap is awesome. Let's see. Let me just reiterate. We need 2 more speakers, so just, I don't know, come up and talk. Oh, are we good? Wait. Oh, cool. So this means flip it over. In the meantime, Jeff T or V, Trovol or Troll. Hacking binary blobs. So give it up for Jeff.
Hi, everybody. I don't know if everyone knows what a binary blob is, but sometimes manufacturers decide to release drivers for their hardware and they didn't provide the source code for it. So it becomes a binary blob and they're bad and they're evil and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes, and in very, very unusual cases, I think they are a necessary evil. And that case is if it's the only available driver for a product that's been discontinued. And the manufacturer no longer cares about it. You find something floating around on the internet somewhere, and it's like the evil 2.4 something binary blob for some obscure piece of hardware, and you want to make it work again. Well, the reason you would want to do that is, for example, if you didn't want to have the thing thrown away, for example, or if you wanted to build systems that were cheap or free, depending on how you got the piece of hardware. So, and it also enables electronic reuse, which is really important. As you guys all know, we have very rapid obsolescence of products now. And the result of that is we buy something and every year, and then we throw away the thing that was perfectly good last year, but is now obsolete. That thing either goes into a landfill, in which case it slowly leaks toxic chemicals, or it's recycled in a really bad way, in which case it quickly leaks toxic chemicals. But either way, it's bad stuff. So for environmental reasons, we want to encourage reuse of old hardware. Linux is a fantastic thing for reuse. But we do have this problem of a lot of old hardware being unsupported. Sometimes there's no driver at all, but sometimes a manufacturer made a binary driver, like once, because somebody told them it was a good idea, but then they forgot about it. They sold the division that made the product. They sold all the IP. Nobody knows anything about it anymore. This piece of hardware is basically dead to Linux. But if you can find this old driver, sometimes you can bring it back to life, and that's what I did, and I've been wanting to tell somebody about this, so here I am telling you guys. Basically, let's see, I used to volunteer for this organization called freegeek.org. I also volunteered for the ACCRC. Who was the other speaker? I don't know. Anyway, basically what they do is they take old systems and they rebuild them and they install Linux on them and they give them away, so it's all electronics reuse. They had a big problem with modems, which they used to use a lot of ISA modems, but they're running out of them because they're pretty much obsolete. Unfortunately, the modems after that are all PCI-based, and they're usually Win modems, which means like a big portion of the drivers and software. Occasionally, they made a Linux version of that, and so I tried to resuscitate one of the old 2.4 something Linux drivers for one of those modems, and I was successful in doing that. And I wanted to describe a little bit about what I did. If you're interested in trying it, I hope somebody is. First of all, you can do a lot of disassembly if you're familiar. There's a thing called OBJ dump, which I think is on most systems. There's a great third-party disassembler called IDA that I've used as well. You can take that information you learn from reading all of this assembly language. You can look for interrupt handlers. You can look for initialization sequences. You can look for shutdown sequences. In the case of modems, you want to look for anything that looks like a TDY or a UART, anything that you can send data to, get data from, do control operations. You can figure out how all that stuff works. And you can go in and you can hack these binaries by making them call your routines, figuring out what deep down inside you need to call in their binary. And you can just sort of go in and change the symbols and the pointers and stuff like that so that you can actually link with this thing. And then what you can do is you can make a 2.6 compatible shell, basically, and which is all which you wrote in C, and then you can link in this old driver that you've hacked. And then the result is a working 2.6 driver. So, and that's kind of what there's the tools that you can use for this hacking. OBJ copy is a popular one. There's also a library called BFD, which is all of these things like LD and GCC use this library to do their own binary hacking, and it's a good API for doing these manipulations. So if anybody's interested in talking about that stuff, I'd like to talk to you. And also anybody who knows anything about or is interested in using technical stuff, Linux stuff, to do environmental work. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Removing the evil from binary blobs. All right, John, David, Duncan. Is that one person or is it three? Just one dude. Awesome. All right. Mod, I'm guessing it's Apache related. I don't know if that's what the second character is, but it's Apache related.
Thank you. I'm John David Duncan. I work for MySQL and now for Sun Microsystems. and I want to talk about my skunkworks open source project called ModNDB. MySQL cluster plus Apache web server is my ModNDB. So let me tell you a bit about how all this fits together. MySQL cluster is a database that it was designed to be fault tolerant on cheap commodity hardware. So you've got a number of boxes that run what we call NDB. They actually hold the data. You've got a number of MySQL servers. You can write SQL queries that you send to those MySQL servers, and they access the data from the NDB nodes, as we call them. And any of these boxes can go down, and the database stays up. And you get the same view of the data from all of these MySQL servers at the same time, no matter what's going on. You've got completely synchronous data management going on inside this cluster. When this came out, when we first saw MySQL cluster 3 or 4 years ago now, I said, well, that has some really cool possibility. But it turns out to have a few deficiencies in web applications. For one, if you used to have this 2-tier architecture where you went, say, from PHP to MySQL, now it becomes a 3-tier architecture. You go from PHP to MySQL and then to NDB to actually get the data, and then you go back up the stack to PHP. Some other limitations had to do, specifically in MySQL 5.0, it was entirely an in-memory database, which limited your size some, and it didn't really have true varchars, true variable length records. So in MySQL 5.1, which is where we focus now, it does have varchars. It has variable length rows, and you can put some of your data on disk. So that removes some of the big limitations. And then what I wanted to do was remove that third one. Take that 3-level architecture and make it a 2-level architecture. So here's how it works. You've got your Apache web server. You link in ModNDB. In your httpd.conf file, you write something that looks almost like a SQL query. I don't exactly have a SQL parser, but it's close to a SQL parser. Then you send, from the client, you send a GET or a delete or a POST request. It's a REST API to Apache. If it's a GET, your data comes out of the database as it can be JSON formatted, it can be XML formatted, HTML formatted. If you're doing this from a JavaScript application, from a browser, it's as simple as an XML HTTP request call. And then if you get the result back as JSON, you just eval it into the script. So all this, it's at mod-ndb.googlecode.com, and that's it. That's the story. Thanks.
And Solomon K. Chang. All right. So, I don't know what you're talking about, but can't wait.
This isn't a serious thing. Basically, why so serious? A few people convinced me to do this on stage, so this goes out to every coworker I've had who has had trouble dating due to this is an Irish ballad for every coworker I've ever had who's had trouble dating, but it's called Coder McKinnon O' the Cubicles. McKinnon was a coder who had worked in 9 to 5. He started every morning with a grueling hour's drive. With coworkers, one day he went to fetch some coffee blend at a quiet little Starbucks on which programmers depend. 'Twas here his people came to lay out websites that they tend. 'Twas here McKinnon briefly broke his train of thought just when his eye then spied a bonny lass all prettied up and slim. But his boss stepped in to stop McKinnon, saying this to him: "No lass as she could ever be with nerdy geeks like ye. Thy lot in life is loneliness as far as I can see. McKinnon, you're a coder, but a lover not ye be. Now get back and patch our client's PHP." Well, who should walk in at that moment? Lo, 'tis fair folkin, a member of the Sealy court on a latte binge. McKinnon approached the ferry with his mortal friends in tow, for when it came to flirtings, what the Sealy fully know. The ferry told McKinnon, though thy heart be lost of glee, be thankful of 6 figures have ye in your salary. But matters of the heart, ye won't like what I shall say, and I say this unto ye on behalf of all the fae. No lass as she could ever be with nerdy geeks like ye. Ah, thy lot in life is loneliness, and that's the way it be. McKinnon, you're a coder, but a lover not ye be, for romance is not some struck you right in sea. McKinnon sat in silence, stunned, and wept with lip befilled. How dare ye call this wisdom, fairy fay not owe this world? Oh, why defy thy damned decree until my dying day? The little folk in coffee never mixed well anyway. Turning towards his co-workers, he said, what say of ye? In one voice of unison, they answered somberly, McKinnon, when you chose careers, you also chose your fate. For as any other coder, you're doomed to never debt. No lass as she could ever be with nerdy geeks like ye. Ah, thy lot in life is loneliness, it may be D&D. McKinnon, you're a coder, but a lover not ye be, even if you can afford a PS3. McKinnon stood his cappuccino, then he took a sip. Turning towards the others, he said, you're all full of it. So gathering up his courage, he approached the lass so fair, where she struck him down with icy words atop an icy stair. A man like ye could never be with women such as me, for thy lot in life is loneliness, which you refuse to see. McKinnon, you're a coder, but a lover not ye be, if you try to make your living in IT. So...
That was fucking awesome. All right. Wow, give it up for Solomon. Wow. Wow. Oh, well, I'm gonna butcher this name. I can't see where the letters come together. What? Yes, I think so. G-U-I. All right. So something French. Oh, it's fitting. All right, take it away.
Wow. There. Oh, no way I can follow that. It's. Wow. Wow. So, once upon a time, there was Ed. Ed was good, and some people even programmed with it. And then there was VI, and then there was Emacs, and life was good. And in fact, it was really, really difficult to get anyone to program with anything than VI or Emacs because they are so good and grand and complicated. And lately, my group has managed to do a little bit of that, to pull some programmers out of Emacs, about a whole 1,000 programmers. And which is significant because this is the program editor called Dr. Scheme, which is the program editor for PLT Scheme, which is a programming language which has about 1,000 coders. Which used to be Emacs programmers. Scheme, Lips, Emacs, all the same community. And so the entire development community of programmers that were coding with PLT Scheme transitioned to Dr. Scheme, which used to be this program environment for beginners. And then there's a hidden box you can click that makes it behave like Emacs. And all the programmers switch and refuse to go back. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. How many people are programmers? Everyone? How many people have wrist pain? Lots of you. Lots of people with wrist pain. That's not okay, people. That's not okay. This makes the computer science department the single one most dangerous department to work in. Beyond physics, God knows what speed they're exploding bullets in these basements. They are running fires in our place. I had to run out of my building twice already in my career because of the physics department. They don't hurt as much as us. more than the bio department with their class 5 lab with AIDS viruses, super AIDS viruses, and revive Black Plague viruses. They don't nearly hurt themselves as much as we do. We've got to wake up. When we talk about computer security and the consequences of introducing a computer in an environment, now we should think about this also in terms of your health. If you introduce a computer in an environment, it's going to have health consequences. And we have to think of those as well. I've built DivaScheme, which is my own program editor, built on top of Dr. Scheme in the PLT Scheme programming language, which is why all that stuff is relevant. It's a completely different program editor. It's based on VI, and so that alone makes it on the Dr. Scheme-like and on Emacs-like. How many people use VI? Lots of people. How many people use Emacs? You're going to be lynched coming out of here. There's more VI people. And there's been this war going ages about VI, Emacs, VI, Emacs, VI, Emacs. Sorry, Emacs people. I used to be an Emacs people. I was a Dr. Scheme person afterward. But I've got an answer, and we lost. I ran a survey in my people, and among all those that had the wrist pains, the coders that were using Emacs were significantly more likely to have wrist pain. Emacs is dangerous to your health. You already knew this. But I saw it in the number. You can measure this. Emacs people are doing bad. Everybody had pain, essentially. VI are also not out of the forest. They have problem too. Those that fare better were the people using the Windows editor, Eclipse, and the like. And that I'm not so sure. I mean, there's a correlation problem here, right? Perhaps just the people that are more intense users of keyboards navigate towards Emacs and VI. That's very likely. But the important thing is, from that number, I've developed DivaScheme, my own program editor, that's based on VI. And the key idea in DivaScheme is that you never, ever hit a chord key. There's no shift, there's no control, there's no alt. Everything, it's not Control C, it's C. It's not Control V, it's V. It's not alt % sign to go from expression to expression. It's just the one key. And it's been helping a lot of people, RSI sufferer, at continuing to program. That with Dragon naturally speaking, fancy keyboard like the Kinesis, like these wrist gloves. It's been helping people continuing to code. That's one reason why it's good. The other reason why it's good is that it's really cool. It's a structure editor. It operates on expression by default, and there have been a lot of attempts at making structure editors in the past, and they've all sucked ass. We've got really passionate users. This one works. People refuse to go back to Dr. Scheme, and where the user of Dr. Scheme refuse to go back to Emacs, where the users of Emacs refuse to go back to Ed. So DivaScheme's on top of that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I'm a little scared, and I'm ready to switch editors and languages. Quinn, Weaver again, and an arrow and a smiley face to flip the thing over. All right, take it away.
All right. I'm going to talk about something hopefully a little more accessible this time, and that is time management. Specifically time management for geeks, but this applies to everyone else as well. This talk has a subtitle because it's a serious talk. The subtitle is How to Stay Focused, Get Real Work Done, and Avoid Planning Bloat. If you guys have read the 37 Signals book, Getting Real, for instance, this dovetails a lot with that philosophy. But basically, the problem in modern life is you've got too much stuff to do. You've got limited time. You want to keep your head down and concentrate on things like coding, which are very attention-intensive, and be productive and not be interrupted by emails and people walking into your cubicle and crap. Or just thinking about the fact that you need to take the cat to the cat dentist or whatever is distracting you. And you want to be able to plan, but you want to do only the amount of planning that you need to do in order to get your job done. You don't want to overplan because that, again, will cut into your productivity time if you have a heavyweight process. So it's kind of counterintuitive how to get around all these problems. I personally got into a situation where I had 2 contracts going for a little over 20 hours a week simultaneously, and I couldn't actually get 40 billable hours in a week, and it was driving me nuts. So I went to a time management specialist, and she told me, you have to work less. I was like, what? Okay, this is counterintuitive. You have to work less, and you have to take breaks, but most importantly, you need to work in units of 45 minutes. This is not something I would have intuited on my own. It turns out that, according to some studies that she waved in front of me, around that time, 45 minutes, your attention to your task is increasing, so you're getting more and more locked in, really developing like a death grip on whatever problem you're doing. But your competence, your memory, your retention, the size of your working memory, all of these psychological variables are going down. And around 45 minutes, you've reached the fatal crossover where you're like totally into doing something and you can't do it. Anybody who's like pulled an all-nighter trying to finish something up knows how this is. And you start making mistakes and creating bugs. It's not a good scene. So stop after 45 minutes. Do something fun. Do something refreshing. Go outside. That was the #1 activity she recommends. I like to play really short video games like Katamari Damacy, 1 level. Just do something that totally takes your mind off what you're doing. Go back, and you'll find that you have to kind of get back into your work, but that's good, because suddenly you're not pursuing some crazy dead end. Maybe you're doing an alternate approach to your problem. You're once again thinking in a global way, and you're more productive. I've tried this empirically. It works a lot better for me. I can actually get more done in 8 45-minute units than I can get done in 8 full hours, although I can't bill my clients that way, so it's a bit of a loss. But I can do 10 units in a day and not feel extremely tired, and that's equivalent to doing 8 hours of work. The other thing she said is you have to set a consistent stopping time, or you're going to hate yourself and hate life, and you're going to sort of go and strike against yourself and become less productive. I have also found this true for me anecdotally. I have to say, okay, by 7 p.m., no matter how much I've gotten done, I'm going to stop, I'm going to do something. Go out dancing, go to the gym, go see a movie, whatever. And speaking of, and you're not allowed to do like housework and stuff that is actually kind of work, it has to be fun. And speaking of going to the gym, exercise is a wonderful thing you can do for yourself to increase productivity in any case. And it doesn't have to be hard. Like 20 or 30 minutes of cardio per day. You can play DDR. That's actually good cardio for most people, unless you're in really good shape. Weightlifting is a little different. It seems to put you in a more, relaxed, calm yet focused state of mind. But these things are also very valuable, and the things that geeks don't always automatically think of. What else? Another very useful trick is to do your planning before you sit down to work. So you don't sit down and then spend 5 or 10 minutes going, yeah, where was I? What am I doing here? At the end of the day, you write down what your next task is, put the piece of paper on your keyboard, and then when you get up the next morning and you go to your keyboard, you immediately dive into that task. Make it something productive. Make it something relevant. Not like going through your email, which by the time you're through it, you're totally discouraged and tired and have lost the momentum of the morning. This is also actually a getting things done thing. I don't know if you've read the book. How long? 30 seconds. Okay. Read the book, Getting Things Done. It's really good. It encapsulates this notion as next actions and gives you a lot of different ways you can slice and dice them. It's very nice. By David Allen, Getting Things Done. What else do I have to tell you? Just the basics. When in doubt, stick to this routine. Start your day with a plan in place. Work in sprints of 45 minutes. Take nice breaks. Figure out how many units you want to do in a day, and then cut yourself off after that. If you don't get them done, cut yourself off anyway. Go do something fun. Thanks.
Wow. That's all good advice. I'm sure we can all benefit from that. So, awesome. Let's see. Where does the marking out begin and the text end, or vice versa? Elan and Gareth Green. Greenaway. Oh, that's an A. Yeah, I can't read. I never really learned. That's not funny. Yeah. All right, Gareth and Elan.
Sorry, just before we carry on, we've had a complaint from 2 females over there that this isn't thong enough. So please, can you adjust yourself? Oh my God.
I mean, I did what I could. He said he would actually bring me a thong. It was implied in our original conversation, and then I show up and he didn't have one, so I did my best.
And it has to sparkle.
Fuck!
All right, so all right, I'm Gareth.
And I'm Elon. We're with the Southern California Linux Expo Scale.
Is there anyone here who has never been to Scale? Why?
What are you waiting for?
We have Jono. Not in the thong, but we have Jono.
So anyways, we're a Linux and open source conference. We just had our 6th year in February. We're a nonprofit, community-run event organized by folks just like you. And this year we're looking for speakers, exhibitors, sponsors, just like every other year. It'll probably be in February again, down in Los Angeles.
So if anyone is interested in speaking, we may even let you speak in a thong.
I don't think we'd...
Maybe not.
But yeah, we have a pretty great speaker lineup. Ted Hager has spoken in the past. Jono Bacon has spoken a few years in a row. Liana, I apologize for your last name. Holmberg. Yeah. So if you're here in California, it's a short drive down, and if you're not in California, it's a good way to get out of the snow in February. So you can fly on over to the beach in LA and enjoy yourselves in the sun. Any questions?
California! All right. This one's easy. I like this one. Nathan from Ubuntu. So, give it up for Nathan. Uh-huh.
I know my mom would be so proud of me at this moment.
Me too.
So my name's Nathan. I'm here with the Ubuntu California local community team. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about Ubuntu. Has anyone heard of Ubuntu? It's this little-known new Linux distribution that's come out. Has anyone not heard of Ubuntu? Okay, wonderful. That makes my job easier. How many people are using Ubuntu? That's incredible. I'm always astonished because there are so many distributions that are out there. And it came out in the middle of nowhere and just sort of took over. And this surprised me because I've been using Linux for a long time. So there are quite a few things that actually attracted me to Ubuntu. For example, one of those things is the community. Jono said, for example, that we have this code of conduct in the community that's best summed up as be excellent to each other, which I think is a beautiful way of summing that up, because I said to someone, I'd sum that up as don't be a dick. I like Jono's summary a little bit better. So you can go, and if you use Ubuntu, you all know this, you can go into Google, type in your problem, type Ubuntu after it, and you get your answer, almost always. If you don't get your answer, you go to the Ubuntu forums, you ask your question, and people actually give you answers. They don't say just read them, find manual, like everyone else. So this was finally a distribution that I could say, okay, I can tell my mother that when her computer isn't working, the hard drive crashes, I said, boot off of the CD for a couple of days till we can recover the data, and you're good to go. I can tell my friends who aren't experienced with computers, this is a program you can use that's free, that gives you the power to choose what you want to install. If the program's not, you install it, and 20 minutes later, you have a complete operating system. You have your Office suite, you have your web browser, your instant messaging software. If you want to try it out, you can just plop the CD in your CD drive and reboot, and there it is, a live system that doesn't touch your computer. Of course, with the new version coming out in April on the 24th, you can actually put that CD into your computer running Windows, a little menu comes up and says, would you like to install Ubuntu without leaving Windows? You can install to a file on your hard drive, and the Windows bootloader comes up when you start up, and you can try it out, and when you decide you don't like it, you can go into Control Panel, Add Remove Programs, and remove it. Probably because you liked it so much, you can go back in and boot from the CD and install it from scratch. So Ubuntu is a wonderful thing. The community is there, and you can share it with people. You can download the CD, burn them, give them away. Your gift bags all contain one Ubuntu desktop CD. If you already have it, everyone here is using Ubuntu, give it to a friend. Share this free software with them. And that polish is there, and all the applications are there, that you have a complete working system that is just really great. On older systems, it's great. I know my godchildren have a couple computers that run edubuntu. So they have gcompre, they have Tux Paint, they have Tux Typing, they have Tux Math, all these great programs. And when they do want to learn more about computers, if they choose so, and want to learn to program, they have Python, they have source code for everything on the computer. They can take everything apart, there's configuration files. The best thing about Ubuntu is you have all the power of free software and all the power of Linux, combined with a wonderful community. And so it's just the best way to introduce people, I feel, to Linux who have never used it before. So if you're here in California and you like Ubuntu and you'd like to help advocate for Ubuntu, I'd like to recommend you all join or look into joining the Ubuntu California local community team. We're looking to run an install fest for 8.4 LTS when that comes out, and sometime in May. If you need more CDs, we're in booth 19, just over there. We have a ton of CDs. If you want to try out the beta, I have a couple CDs, and I can burn more with the beta of 8.4. And so we all use Ubuntu. We all know about it. So if you just share with one friend that, hey, there's this great operating system out there, that you can take that old computer that runs Windows 98 or Windows 2000 or Windows, brace yourself, ME. Think what a favor you could be doing for those people. So thank you for your time, and I hope this is a great place, isn't it? So thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. All right, now I'm told we have a prize, the Neuros OSD, to be presented by Joe Bourne. So, yeah, give it up for Joe. I'm not quite sure who he's giving to, but I guess you do, or no, we don't know. Okay, so an empty box from Joe, and we have no idea who it's going to. So, let's see. Do we vote? Do you guys want to just clap on I'll name some names, and you can kind of sing? Wow. So make some noise at least. You guys are being boring about it. So just kind of. I want to hear some. Come on, get into it. So no, okay. Well, it sounds like singing guy. Well, show some love at least. Seriously. All right. So Solomon's singing guy, the wonderful ballad. And Joe, you want to come up and come on, make a big deal out of it. Let's get up here. No, get up here. Come on.
What am I doing?
I don't know. He's going to give you
Oh, thanks.
It's an empty box, but
No.
Speech.
I just want to thank my ex-mother-in-law, who was of Irish descent, and said, he's making fun of me accent. Apparently, when she first heard that her granddaughter was dating somebody named Solomon, she said, Erica, I've heard you've been dating somebody named Solomon. Don't tell me he's Jewish. She says, Grandma, he's not Jewish. Here's his picture. Oh my God, my granddaughter's dating an Iraqi man. I tried to finally make good with her by grilling some salmon fillets in her backyard, and I can hear her screaming from the kitchen, I don't want any fish heads on me plate. To which my fiancée at the time said, Grandma, those are salmon fillets from Costco. They don't have bones, much less heads. To which she responded, Lassie, don't underestimate the ingenuity of those Vietnamese people. He's going to find a way to get that fish head back on me fish before it gets on me plate. Thank you.
Well, I think that's all we have. Wow, it's pretty much right on time. So I'd give you the next list of talks that were up because you should all go to them. But I don't know what they are. So, all right. Thanks for a thing.